Welcome or welcome back, everybody, to another exciting episode of Aaron's Opinion, the podcast for blind people, where we speak about critical issues in the blindness community and all other issues from across the universe, galaxy. And let's talk about cooking today. Let's talk about unseen cuisine. I got to tell you, I am so glad that you posted in the various Facebook groups that you have because I never would have known about the important work that you're doing in the cuisine and in the culinary world for blind people all over the world. Apparently, you're at the beginning of your journey, but I can tell that it's going to be a great one. So Riq Lisby joins us today. Why don't you tell us kind of about, kind of start out for a few minutes about where you began in life and how everything in your life kind of led up to you becoming blind and how you developed unseen cuisine, what you like to cook, how everything works. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to mute my microphone and listen to your beautiful story. So as I always like to say, basically tell me everything that I want to know and don't tell me anything you don't want me to repeat. So who's Riq Lisby? What's unseen cuisine? Go.
All right. Well, my journey with cooking started when I was 7 years old. Grew up in foster care and group homes, and I never stayed in the same place twice. So I used to just go into the cabinets and everything and just start putting things together. So that was early on, and then from there, I went on to culinary school. I got certified as a personal chef, fitness nutrition coach, a health coach, and a drugless practitioner for with the American Association of Drugless Practitioners for Holistic Health and Nutrition. From there, my I would say my passion for food grew, my love for food grew, and my love to help people would say help them achieve a better way in life through food. Because there's a lot of people out here that don't know how to cook still to this day with all these apps and everything like that. There's a lot of people who take a lot of medicine, and there's a lot of people who don't realize that food is medicine, and they eat for various reasons. But my passion grew to help people. I help people reverse certain things like diabetes, slow down their kidney, the renal failure, and things like that. So to me, helping people eat, help teaching people how to cook, it does wonders for me. You know how they'll say, give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man a fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. And then that's what I'm trying to do. Now, fast forward to where I am now. Um, excuse me. I was in a chemical accident at work, and I was also a nursing student. I was 4 months from graduating. And with just one Sunday morning before I was getting ready to do clinicals, the dish machine in the kitchen broke and splashed water into my face and into my eyes, which caused chemical burns and a whole bunch of other things. And within a month, I lost my vision. The first 7 days, I thought it was just an infection, but it wasn't. I went to like three different doctors that week. At the hospital, they said I was going to lose my vision. Then I went to a cornea specialist, and then I went to a retinal specialist. The retinal specialist diagnosed me as being blind. The cornea specialist thought he was God. He said that you're going to get your vision back on this day. So the day came and left. My vision never returned. So it was that whole time within a month was a real scary period because you go from having vision for 49 years. I had vision, and during my whole culinary career, had vision. During everything, had vision. Had plans. Had dreams, and then you start to slowly lose your vision in a month. That was really scary. Didn't know what to do. Didn't know how to handle it. Kept going back to the doctor, asking for things that'll help me reverse it. There was no reversing it. And then on top of that, there was a big infection that was eating my eyeball, which was very contagious at the same time. So with all of that, with it happened on 9/3, And then by 10/16, I was blind. For 3 weeks, I had no sight. Everything was black for 3 weeks, and I didn't know what to do. And a voice just said in my head, "Just relax. I got you. I got you." And I was like, "Okay, let me just relax." And then over time, I started to, I was depressed for a while. I started to say, "How am I going to cook? What am I going to do?" So I went to the Lighthouse for the Blind. They helped me with some ADLs. They helped me with cane mobility. They helped me try to get a certain level of confidence back. And then I was sitting on the couch, and then one day I said, I want something. I want to cook to the caliber where I was, or if I can, I want something different. I don't just want Chinese food, take out Chinese. I don't just want meatloaf. I don't want macaroni and cheese. Oh yeah, and also on top of that, on top of all of this, I have a severe dairy allergy. I go into anaphylactic if I have any dairy whatsoever. So imagine going blind and having a severe dairy allergy like that, and almost everything that's made now has some type of milk in it. So, like I said, it was scary. So I said to myself, I got to get up. I got to pour into myself. I can't sit on the couch. I got to get out of the depression. I don't want to be put on meds or anything like that. Let me go back into the kitchen where I felt where my home was, where I felt that I can do the most. So after trial and error, knocking things over, burning things, having to learn how to cut again, how to learn how to cook again, listen, not just listen, but feel, touch, and trust myself. I started slowly crawling out of the depression and started reliving again in the kitchen. One day at a time, one meal at a time. And I said to myself, now, how can I help other people? Because I was really big into culinary medicine, and I'm still really big into culinary medicine. How can I help people get to not even to this level, but just get out of the level of just eating whatever the person who's caring for them can make, them wanting more or actually getting confidence for themselves. So I just started one person at a time. I with some friends. I made a meal for some friends. The first meal didn't turn out too well, but then kept cooking and cooking and cooking and cooking, and then it started to get better and better and better. Um, at the Lighthouse, everybody made a meal. I made crispy gnocchi with shaved Parmesan. Everybody loved it, and I said, you know what? I could teach other people how to do this. So I made some videos, but then I was like, all right, if a person like me can't see the video, how are they going to be able to cook along with me? So that's when I started. After a while, after I came out the nursing home, I started saying that I need to help more people to give them more options. Oh, I think let me backtrack a little bit. When I went blind, I became homeless, and no, because I didn't get disability. They kept denying me. They kept denying me. My whole life changed. I lost my job, lost my apartment, and then I went from different places to try to stay, and nobody would keep me because I was a liability because of my vision. So went to the hospital, and then the hospital placed me into nursing home. And while I was there, it was depressing at the nursing home. I was the youngest person there, but I had the staff. Some of the staff was good, and they kept pushing me to open up Unseen Cuisine as with certain family members. They said, you know what, once you get out of here, you gotta help more people. You gotta keep people cooking because there's more people out there who are blind who needs your help. There's more people out there who's blind that actually need to learn how to cook. So again, after now, after I got out of the nursing home, that's when I started Chef Riq Unseen Cuisine and the podcast. About 7 months later, started this podcast journey that I'm on now, to teach people how to cook, to have a community where you just don't want just regular food. You want more than macaroni and cheese. You want more than what you're used to. You want to try to get back into the kitchen, try to dive into something more than you've tried before. Like everybody loves sandwiches. So try to make sandwiches on a different scale, try different sauces, try to open up your palate and try to expand more. So I think that's everything. Quick, fast, caught up in a nutshell. I think so.
Yeah.
But blindness has been tough. It at first it I don't know. At first, blindness seems like it robs you of a lot of things. If you was not born blind, you feel like nobody else understands what you're going through. You feel isolated. You feel alone. But there's a big community out there with everybody else who's blind, low vision, and you have to slowly get out of the that I would say lonely stage. You have to try to reach out to people. You have to try to talk to other people. Because I've met a lot of people along the way that I've tried to help cook, but they were too afraid to get into the kitchen. I've met a lot of people along the way that did not want to go into the kitchen and they didn't care what they ate. I've met some people who just gave up. And I said to myself, I don't want to be like that. I still got a lot of life to live. My sister, my brothers also said, you know what? You just because you lost your vision doesn't mean that you lost who you are. And, but like I said, trial and error, getting up every day, putting one foot in front of the other and saying that, I could do more, I could be more. I keep going every day to try to make a difference in somebody's life and also make a difference in my life. If I could teach one person how to cook, I'm happy. And also this is, it also fulfills my, I guess it fulfills my path of trying to, teach people how to eat for a lifetime. So, I'm happy with that. Now, with Unseen Cuisine, there's a lot of good things coming down the pipeline. This sandwich series that I put on the podcast is sandwiches with different sauces like black pepper aioli, buffalo chicken, buffalo sauce. You got some what is it? Blue cheese vinaigrette. You got an herb vinaigrette, and all of this stuff is dairy free. The recipes that I do are also going to be allergy friendly as well, because there's a lot of people out there that has a lot of allergies like me. And it's not just for the blind and low vision people. It's for anybody, anybody with disabilities who want to eat better, who have allergies. I'm trying to reach as many people as I can. Now, I'm doing this by myself right now, but in time, I guess I'll grow and hopefully get on a Food Network or something like that. But it's just one step at a time, 1 foot at a time, making sure people know that they don't have to give up on food. And just because you're blind doesn't mean that your taste buds are gone. Your other senses should kick in. Your sense of smell, taste, touch, because I know mine has. And that also helps you in the kitchen. So I'm looking forward to talking to as many people, looking forward to talking on as many podcasts as I can, looking forward to a long life with Unseen Cuisine. Now, when I talk about Unseen Cuisine and being confident in the kitchen, first thing I need to tell everybody is, don't be afraid. Next, organization. You got to have organization in the kitchen if you want to be successful and be confident in the kitchen. In my kitchen, I don't let nobody put anything away from me. I put everything away myself because if somebody moves something, I won't know where anything is. And that kind of like, shakes confidence. Food goes in, I know where everything is. My kitchen is small, so my pots are outside of my kitchen on the shelf. My spices are next to the stove, which is easier to get. Um, there is my plates are on the other side of the kitchen. Everything I have Braille on my containers, so I know what it is. So for me, the key to cooking and being confident in the kitchen is very much organization, and it is the utmost importance. And then also wanting to get up and cook, wanting to get up to help your family out, wanting to get up to make something different, you know, because if you don't have the want and desire to do anything, you're not going to. And that's what I hope I'm giving and inspiring everybody to do. What else can I say? There's just like so many recipes coming, so much interactive things that I'm going to be working with people with. Maybe next year, hopefully, try to compete in some competitions from a blind side, a blind view. Um, Talk more on social media platforms, talk more on TV, try to meet as much people as I can because there's a whole big community of blind, low vision. And I think that we're a part of a sector that is not really thought of, but we're here. I would say that we're kind of like unicorns because when I'm out in the store, you could tell nobody's ever seen a blind person. So they don't know, some people don't know how to act. So I want to let people know that, the blind community, we're here and, and we like to live and do things as well. There's some people this is one blind guy. He rides motorcycles. I don't know how he does it. There's other people that go skiing. There's other people that go bowling. They drive boats. And I want to be in one of those sectors where we're in the kitchen. We're cooking up meals that you want to eat and things like that. So the journey has been hard. The journey's been rough. The journey's still going to be. This is a lifelong journey because I was told that I'm never going to get my vision back. So I just need to embrace who I am and find a new way to do things. So yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. Any questions?
Absolutely. Well, for one thing, Rick, I have to tell you, first of all, that your story is incredibly relatable to me and, and the audience here around the world at Aaron's Opinion. It's so understandable. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people lose their vision later in life. It's very, very traumatic and unfortunately very common. But I have to tell you, I think you're doing great for one thing. So for another, a little bit more about, my background and things like that. As you know, I was born blind and, and I also have a congenital heart defect. And I don't have allergies specifically, but I have developed a bit of a resistance, to dairy, as well. Because I have some GI issues. So I totally understand the importance of preparing food, that is, adherent, to those dietary concerns for sure. So yeah, I mean, if you were to, I guess I'll start with a kind of a fun question and then dig into some other ones. So if you were to give me a recipe that I could try, because I also enjoy cooking very much. My brother, who's sighted, as I mentioned off air, my brother who's sighted, who could be a chef, but he's not. He's taught me to cook some delicious things. So I've made duck breast before and things like that. But what are some things that you think if you were to challenge Aaron's Opinion to make a meal, what do you think you would how would you give me a recipe? And so with Unseen Cuisine, how do you present recipes? Is it all audio recipes that people can find? Do you have a website? Talk a little bit more about how people can learn about the recipes that you're presenting and all of that.
Okay. Now for you, maybe I don't know. You like steak? Have
I've
you
done
like
that. I've done steak.
you
Yeah.
done
Hmm.
steak? What about surf and turf? Have you done surf and turf?
I have not done a surf and turf. Yeah.
Oh, oh, the steak, lobster tails, a baked potato, some carrots, tossed in a little bit of honey and a harissa.
Yeah.
That would be that'd be something really good. Some celery, or you could use a celery mashed potatoes. I can give you a recipe on that as well. Now, when it comes to the recipes, like I mentioned before, I started on video, but then now everything is on audio. And I'm on major podcasts like Alexa, the Alexa. I'm on Apple. I'm on Spotify. I'm on iHeartRadio, so you can find me there. Chef Riq Unseen Cuisine, Rick with a R-I-Q, not a C-K. So is Chef R-I-Q at Unseen Cuisine. Now the recipes are audio, and how I approach it of let's cook together. I welcome everybody to what I'm cooking, and then we'll dive into it. And everything, all my recipes are it has tactile clues. So if you're slicing, let's say a Roma tomato, I would tell you to, you're here to slicing, and then I'll tell you to feel the tomato, feel the slick and coolness of that tomato, so you know what a tomato feels like. Because there's some people that I understand that don't know what certain things feel like. Like if we're using like for herb vinaigrette, you have to break your cilantro and you got to break your parsley in order to put it into a food processor. But before you put it into the food processor, you want to break it and you want to smell it so you could get the fragrance of it. You want to cut a lemon and then you want to smell the sweetness and the tartness of that lemon before you use it. So it goes, my recipes go into things like that. So this way we are cooking along together. And my recipes are not just regular recipes. It's elevated recipes. Like the next series coming up is the five mother sauces. There's five mother sauces, and if you can make those sauces, there's going to be a recipe at the end of the week with it too. Because the way I structure it, I give you a preview. Let's say we're making, I don't know, duck breast this week, right? So you'll have a preview of the duck breast that's coming up. Wednesdays, I drop the sauces. Every sauce goes along with the recipe at the end of the week, which drops on Fridays. So you get a preview, you get the sauce, and you get the recipe. So this way you can make it over the weekend. You can have a little fun with it. And then with the sauces, you can try to interchange it and use it in other things as well. So that's what I thought would be a fun aspect of it. And then also getting down to basics, because some people don't know some of the basics of cooking. And some of the people don't, or they do, but they forgot. And then also there's going to be tips in there throughout the week, about some organization, about knife skills, and just different things to make people more confident at what they're doing. But listen to the audio. You could pause it. Like if you use an Amazon Echo, you could tell Alexa to slow down the recipe, rewind it 5 seconds, fast forward it 5 seconds, so this way you don't miss anything. And this is a different way to do things, because if other people close their eyes and just listen how I'm telling the story of the recipe and cooking with the recipe, they should be able to follow along.
Yeah, that's really excellent. The other thing that you said too is that you know how to make a really good gnocchi, right? You really like gnocchi, right?
Gnocchi, yeah,
Yeah, gnocchi. Yeah. You
yeah.
see, I'm also, when I'm not doing this podcast, I'm also a teacher. And I was telling people all over the world, because I've been to France, I'm a French speaker, and I was telling people how much I love gnocchi. And I kept on saying, gnocchi, gnocchi, gnocchi. And they were like, gnocchi, what are you talking about? And then I explained it. And they said, oh, you mean gnocchi is what that's actually
Who?
called. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Say that one more time. Yo,
It's actually pronounced nyoku.
Noku.
Nyoku.
Okay. Okay.
So in it's actually never pronounced in other countries who know what it is. They don't know what gnocchi is. They only know the word in Italian, in proper Italian. Gnocco is what they know it as. Yes, it's incredibly delicious. What can you tell us about that recipe, by the way? Because that's also one of my favorite. Gnocchi can be one of my favorite sides or a standalone meal. It's incredible. What can you tell me about the crispy gnocchi that you've made in the past?
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, apologize for correcting you because you corrected me on that, but I don't know if I could pronounce it like that. But it's sauteed in butter. It's you could put some Brussels sprouts in there too if you want to, because Brussels crispy Brussels sprouts is delicious. Um, you saute it because it's store bought. I haven't made it fresh in a long time, so I normally get store bought. Um, can't pronounce it,
Gnocchi.
gnocchi. I get store bought gnocchi, and you get a hot pan, and then you just start sautéing it until it starts to get soft. Sautéing it in butter or dairy free butter, of course, or in a little bit of oil, and until it starts to get soft. And then once it starts to get soft, you crank up the. For me, I will crank up the heat so I could get that nice crispy shell on it. Then I'll throw in a little bit more butter. Then I'll or and Brussels sprouts. And then I just saute that, let that get nice, soft, and golden. And then by that time, I am microplaning some dairy-free Parmesan cheese, a wedge, just microplaning it in it and sauteing it. And then I take it off and then microplane some more Parmesan cheese into that dish. And then I just devour it with a nice white wine to go with it.
Yeah, it's incredible. That's absolutely. I will definitely try that one too. Certainly, if you can put together a recipe for that, because that's delicious. And the thing about gnocchi is that gnocchi can be paired with so many things. It has so many uses. It can be a great side. It can be a standalone. It can be a snack. It can be a. It's really really versatile. For sure. Yeah, that's really fun. Really really fun. Hey, what about what's your opinion of peanut butter ice cream? I know how to make peanut butter ice cream.
Peanut butter ice cream. I'm not a big ice cream fan because I know I'm going to get a lot of flack on that
Yeah, especially
because
especially from me, because I just asked you about it. You know that I'm famous for my peanut butter ice cream. It's world renowned. I learned how to make peanut butter ice cream. I taught myself. That's also really fun too. Messing around with different flavors and things like that. Ice cream's a lot of fun because it's very creative. You can create a lot of flavor with ice cream. I'm sure for you. You could find a dairy-free version or something like that. It would be harder, but I'm sure it exists. I'm 100% sure it exists. Yeah. Yeah.
well, peanut butter ice cream sound interesting. It sounds like yeah, it sounds very interesting. Um, but for me, because of my dairy allergy, because
Yeah.
before all of these ice creams came, there was really nothing for me to have. So
hmm
ice cream kind of like went to the back.
I understand. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
peanut butter ice cream, that sounds very interesting.
Usually for me too, because I eat healthy, and I've also
Mhm.
noticed that when I eat healthy stuff, it's a lot better. I appreciate the food more. I feel better. And as I'm noticing, as I've said, with my GI problems that I have now in my 30s, I'm 34. I'm a young kid. I'm 34, but it's a long story, but I'm starting to have GI issues. So because of that, I'm cognizant and sensitive about thinking, wait a minute, is this really what my body needs? Because it probably or could upset my stomach, and then I have to be a lot more careful about how I eat now. I have to be a lot more aware of that type of thing, because our bodies are very, very sensitive, and this is always an issue. Yeah.
Right.
But no, I mean, there's a lot of fun stuff you can make. I've done. Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a baker, but the thing about well, I can cook and bake a little bit. The thing about baking though that's really fun and really separates it out intellectually from cooking, just to kind of give you more flavor, is baking is about following the steps and the progress and how one chain leads to the next. and then you can create things that are beautiful. I've also made, so as you can tell, peanuts are my favorite thing. So I have a peanut fixation and peanut flavor fixation. So I've also
Mm.
done a peanut butter Reese's cake. That's utterly incredible. I mean, there's a lot that you can do with peanut too. It's truly a spectacular thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I have
Are you allergic to peanuts?
no, I'm not allergic to peanuts.
That's surpri
I like
That's surprising because you mentioned all the if anybody has an allergy, it's almost always peanuts, 100% of the time. Many people have a nut allergy. That's a very common one. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a very common one. But the number one for kids, the number one allergy is dairy.
For
Uh,
sure.
so that's really huge. But for me, for peanuts, I like peanuts, especially pistachios.
Hmm.
I make a great peanut dipping sauce for spring rolls,
Love it.
summer rolls, if you call it that. But I love candy peanuts. Like I used to get in New York City in the
Hmm.
Bronx. You just walk down, you just get a bag of candy peanuts. Um, Peanut butter is good. I normally have a tablespoon of peanut butter before I go to bed. Before this way, I'm not getting up in the middle of the night trying to get snacks. A tablespoon of peanut butter does me well.
Okay. All right.
And do a lot of things with that, and it goes great with a lot of Asian dishes.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Of course, you can do a pad thai with a peanut sauce.
Hmm.
There's a lot that's really good. I don't know if I cook. I'm more of a French cook, so I really prefer like the French things, like a heavy meat with some protein and things like that. Some of the food from Thailand can be good. Korean food. Oh, I love bulgogi. By the way, that's incredible. I'd be shocked if you didn't. Do you have a recipe for like anything like with bulgogi, by the way?
Yeah, bulgogi street tacos.
Ooh.
Yeah, I have a recipe for that. Can't think of it off the top of my head, but I have a recipe for that. And since you said that, that might be in one of the series, street food. Might just put that in there, so this way you can listen to the
Right.
recipe.
Absolutely. Street food with a healthy twist, like
Yes,
an elevated and attainable. The other thing about recipes that I like is that some recipes are very healthy and very good and very easy to make, and others are very good but significantly more time consuming. I think that's another factor too. When you talk to people about cooking, everybody has to kind of adjust to their timing of, well, how much time do I want to spend? How much time do I have to
right.
prepare something? You can prepare things that are very healthy and delicious quickly, just as much as you could spend hours on certain recipes. Yeah. Mhm.
And now that's where it comes back to organization.
Absolutely.
If you are gonna like with me, even now, if I want to eat by let's say 5:30, I would have to start at 4 o'clock.
Sure. Absolutely.
Because with no vision, you still got to give yourself enough time to make everything that you need and gather your ingredients, and make sure you have the mixing bowls and stuff like that. So if you have a good organization or starting to get good organization, you will be able to make things that's not so much time consuming. Also, something that I do as well, like if I know that I want something quick, light, and fast by the end of the night, when dinner time comes, I'll just prep just some of the, like to say, the vegetables in the morning time. Get up a little earlier, and like dice some tomatoes, dice this, dice that, put it in the refrigerator, and then when dinner time comes, I'm not spending that much time cooking. I'm just putting things together like we used to do in the restaurant. You got to prep, and then you just use it whenever somebody ordered that dish. So that's what I've learned to do.
You got it. So yeah, the other thing that I really enjoyed about your story. So I mean, I love every word that comes out of your mouth, man. But the other thing is, so you mentioned one. Hold on one second here. You mentioned that so you went to culinary school.
Mhm.
So before you became blind and had this whole, because you were kind of jumping around which is good. Your stories was kind of all over the place. But so what did you do in the restaurant? How long did you work in the restaurant, and exactly how would you explain that experience to somebody? Because that's quite an experience.
I loved working in restaurants. When I first started, I worked in a sauce room as a saucier for 2 years. Just a windowless room, big old pots, just making sauces. But I loved it. Right out of culinary school, I traveled to 25 of the 50 states, cooking around. I lived in California, and Maryland and certain places, just cooking in really good restaurants. I've worked at some very, very phenomenal restaurants that was going, even a Michelin star restaurant. So my experience with the old school chefs is not like the new school chefs. The old school chefs is get it done. You need to do this. You need to do that. If you complaining, you don't need to be in here. It was like really grit because everybody who come out of culinary school think that they're going from, oh, like, hey, I got my culinary degree. Now I'm gonna be the next big thing. No, you're not.
No.
You got you got to put your dues in. And I loved it. When I went to culinary school, they said this is going to be a hard job. It's not. You're going to put your heart and soul in it for little pay at first, but then as your skills improve, you get paid more and more, and you get to run your own kitchen,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
which is good. I had this one chef. You could just ask him a question. He had like 1,000 recipes in his head, and I said, I want to be like that guy. So I started memorizing as many recipes as I can, as many as recipes as I can. So now if somebody give me an ingredient, I could probably put something together without even thinking about it. But again, the experience was a lot of hard days. You had to give up your fun time
Yeah.
in order to work because whenever you're working, everybody else is off. And then when you're off, everybody else is working. And
Yep.
then this is being a chef the way when I first started was no joke because it's like you either can have a family or you can have a career.
But
But
not
at
both.
times you couldn't do both.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but it was just a labor of love because I love food.
I can tell. I can tell. There's a lot of people who hate being a chef who got into that and really discovered that it's really quite unpleasant. It's an enormous amount of work and effort for very little reward, actually. So I'm glad you love it because you really have to. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not everybody has that personality though. You have the personality for it. Not everybody has that loving that foodie personality. You got to have a very specific personality. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I met people like that. They say that they love food, and then as soon as you ask them about some food, they don't know about it. Or you're like, "Come on, let's go in the kitchen." Oh, I don't want to cook. But then, how do you love food? You love eating.
Maybe you're supposed to be on the other side of the restaurant. Maybe they meant I want to be a customer, not a producer, maybe, or something like that. Yeah, that's weird. But I also think that the culinary world is, in my estimation and in my opinion, I think that there's a lot of like it's portrayed in a weird way, So I think a lot of people get the wrong idea. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Really interesting. Yeah. What's your opinion of liver and onions? That's one of my favorites.
Mm. With me, liver and onions is a love-hate relationship.
No, it's not. With me, it's a love-love relationship. Come on, man. You're not getting off the hook. What can you tell me about liver and onions?
Well, I love my liver and onions grilled.
Oh,
you know.
really?
And then I don't like anything smothered. So a lot of people when growing up, my mother used to smother liver and onions, but then I'm like, ugh. But now I'll freeze the liver, put grill marks on it, saute the onions, and then make a light sauce to go with it. That's what I would do. Not that heavy brown grandma sauce. I'm like, oh, that's not
Gravy.
me.
Right. So, okay. All right. So you would grill the liver. That's an interesting response. Typically, I've had it with, potato mash, vegetables. But you're right. Liver independently has a very my brother, who I keep saying is a chef who doesn't work as a chef, my brother can't stand it. And anytime he visits me, we always go out and I always get the liver and onions, basically because I love it. And then I love his reaction. Oh my God, how can you eat that? That's absolutely disgusting. Liver has a very interesting personality. It's got its own spirit. You got to really love it. Um, when I go to France, I get the French equivalent of liver and onions, which is a dish called, and here's some other French words, another language, rognon de veau. Rognon de veau it's basically the kidney meat. So they would kill a cow in France and they would take the kidneys and they would cut the kidneys into little bite-sized pieces, and that basically becomes the meat. And then they put that into like a maple sauce, and then they kind of just cook it up and grill it up like that with like usually rice. So there's different interpretations of that. The liver and onions is a very British, a very, England thing, which has been interpreted here in the United States, but it came from Europe where they were eating organ meat. Yeah. Yeah. How often do you work with organ meat? Because that's a really important sector of culinary.
Um, well, not that much.
Yeah.
Well, maybe some chicken gizzards, you know.
Delish.
You could make that with put that in some dirty rice, chop it up. Thanksgiving, when
Mm-hmm.
you make your gravy, you use the innards. But other than that, not that much because I don't like the metallic taste that it has, the irony taste.
That's what I like. That's why I like it because I like that distinctive taste and smell and that distinctive thing. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot
Mm.
of things that I mean, I'll eat anything that doesn't eat me first. As I say, my theory is if you're inviting me over for dinner, forget about it because I'm having lunch. With me, you got to be prepared, man. With me, you got to have your major league A game. I'll make you sweat in the kitchen. Trust me.
My motto used to be, if you could kill it, I could cook it. So
My my
whatever
theory
you
my
bring to
theory is
me,
I'm hungry.
what,
That's my theory. Your motto is yes. If you can kill it, cook it. Right? Yes. Go ahead. Uh-huh. Yeah.
yeah, that was for a long time, and then people put that to a challenge. Ever since culinary school, I'm like, if you could kill it, I can cook it. So before Chopped and everything became famous and everything, the chefs used to just bring a basket and whatever's in there, we need to cook it. When I worked as a teacher instructor in New York to teach kids how to cook.
Cool, man.
We did the same thing, and then they used to bring me some crazy things. Like one day we went to the House of Bugs, and we got some grasshoppers.
Let's talk about that. So so completely. So for the listener at home who is scratching their head or gagging or throwing up or whatever. So let's talk about what bugs are, and then I'll tell you a cute story about bugs. Bugs are basically fish on the land. Okay. And in case you were wondering two things, what bugs taste like is fish. Okay. Next question. How do I know that? That's what you're wondering, right? Once, when I was 6 years old, my cousin was visiting, and she still remembers this to this very day. Um, and I have no idea if she's a listener to the podcast. I doubt it. But anyway, one day she was visiting us, and I was a little boy, and I wanted to gross her out. So I said, I bet I can eat this grasshopper. And I ate it, and she started to throw up, and she ran away and stuff like that. But they're really good, actually. They just taste like fish, is all they taste like. Once you get rid of the exoskeleton, once you get rid of the shell, it's just fish meat, is all it is. That's all bugs are. Yeah. Um, and the weirdest thing of all is that we don't use them in our food. And I don't really understand why we don't, because other countries do, because other countries are smart enough to know that insects can be a perfectly appropriate part of a meal, provided that they are prepared and incorporated into the persona of the food, Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about them tasting like, well, to me, I don't know about them tasting like fish. I used to use them as punishment for the kids who didn't want to listen. Oh, you don't want to listen? We're going to go get some grasshoppers. We're going to grind them up. We're going to make some pasta. You don't have a grasshopper pot. You're going to have that with some sauce. Oh, you want to act bad? We're going to go get some tarantulas. We're going to grind them up and we're going to make some ice cream. Now you got tarantula ice cream you got to eat. So it was more of, you didn't want to listen because, kids go to summer camp. They want to have experiences. But, you got some of those kids who don't listen. I was
Yeah.
one of those kids. So, okay, you don't want to listen. You're going to make your own food and this is what you're going to use. And then you're going to eat it.
I see. I see. Yeah. Yeah. So what was in those camps where you taught children to cook? What was the best experience or the most touching thing they ever made where you could tell that they were really impacted by your knowledge in culinary art? What do you think?
We used to have cook-offs at the end of the week.
Hmm.
We would have lessons. I was executive chef in New York City with it was Chef Tony's Cooking Adventures, and we used to have team battles, and we used to have cook-offs, and you could tell how much the kids loved what they was doing by with the competition. You said, and then we got and I would put random ingredients like marshmallow peeps in it and
Ooh,
stuff like that. Really, really crazy ingredients. And a lot of kids just love coming to camp. And we got every year it would be more and more kids because they were like, "Oh, Chef Riq is there." I would teach them how to do a whole bunch of different things. It was just like one big family. We go out in the back. The kids will cook their own lunch. We'll go out there. We'll sit. We'll talk about what worked, what didn't work, and then we'll come back in. And then the kids will ask, "Hey, we're not doing competition today. We're not doing because." And also, we used to cook around the world, so we just didn't cook like just regular spaghetti and meatballs. We cooked from Uzbekistan, Pakistan. We cooked from Chile, Uruguay. So it was just world cuisine every day and every week.
that sounds like fun. So fun. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So in all of your culinary training, so did you ever delve into baking at all, or strictly no baking? Are you the type of chef that does zero baking, or can you bake even a little bit?
Oh, I could bake a little. I could bake a little bit. I'm not going to say I'm the best baker, but I could bake. I can make pies. I can make cakes, um, and things like that. My baking skill, my center of the plate, my appetizer. But those skills are a little more harder than a baking. I worked at this one place and the pastry chefs wasn't there. So the executive chef came in like, "I need a birthday cake." So, me, I'm looking around for like the box. Like, "Yo, where's the cake mix box? Where's the cake mix box?" He was like, "No, you a chef. You got to put it together. There
Yeah.
go flour. There go sugar." I was like, "Oh, okay, okay." And then, I just did my thing.
Yeah, yeah, really, really good. That's the trick with baking is it's all about the chemistry. And I think cooking and being a chef is more about, like you were explaining the fluency of palate, how we understand taste,
Hmm.
because baking is about taste, but it's mostly about the right chemistry is what
Right.
creates the taste. So there is a slight philosophical difference. It's all very similar, and things like that. But yeah, I mean, I can certainly get you an ice cream recipe. That's a lot of fun. That's the other thing about some of these things that some recipes are just more fun to make than others. They're more entertaining. Ice cream's fun because you add all the stuff, you blend it all together, you add your flavors. It's very like artistic. It's very creative. In a sense. But no, that's all very interesting. Yeah. What's your theory? Because we struggle, because I live with my family. My mother and father are old, and I'm 34, and so we all cook, but we all struggle with bread. My mother has given up on baking bread. Have you, what's your philosophy? How do you handle bread? What's your whole philosophy with bread?
Bread, I don't, bread is an exact science. It's like, when I used to make dairy-free cheese, it's
Ugh.
exact science. When I make a bread, I normally put it in my Dutch oven
Hmm.
and then just leave it. I put everything in there. I let, because with me, I'm not going to spend, even though I got books on baking bread, I'm not going to
Hmm.
spend a lot of time on baking bread. I'd rather just go to Whole Foods and just get bread, which makes it a lot easier.
It
But
does,
when,
but it does, but freshly baked bread is delicious.
yes.
It's incredible in the morning. Cup of coffee. Usually I have, bread with Nutella because, I have a lot of most of my diet is very French or very European. So I would have my bread, my Nutella, coffee.
Mm.
That's incredible. Yeah. Do you like Nutella or are you repulsed by Nutella?
Nutella?
Yeah.
Nutella has dairy in it. So
Oh,
I
it
don't eat it.
does?
Yes. So I
Even
don't eat it.
that?
Yeah.
Wow. Seriously. It has
Yep.
never would have guessed. Because to me, it mostly tastes like a chocolatey nutty mix is what it tastes like to me mostly. Yeah.
To me, it'll taste like death.
Oh, okay. That is learn something every day. I was completely oblivious to that. Of all the things that I thought wouldn't have dairy. So if it has dairy, what's Nutella? Like what's Nutella? How do they make Nutella? Like what is it? Like just a chemical mix of chemicals, nuts, and chocolate and milk? Like what is it then?
I have no idea. Cause I didn't really, even when I could have it, I stayed away from it because I really didn't like it. I didn't like the hazelnuts and Nutella.
I
Um,
think that's what it is. I love I have a fixation with hazelnut. I'm fascinated by that flavor. Yeah.
hmm. So yeah, I didn't really like it, but a
Interesting.
lot of things, when it comes to milk, you need to be really careful because they're putting it in everything. Tomato sauce,
Yeah, I know.
spaghetti noodles, bread, everything. Because when I go to the supermarket and I have somebody read off the labels and I taught them, what some of the words are. Um, and can't have a lot of stuff.
Hmm.
Everybody like like say for the 4th of July, you have a hot dog bread and stuff like that. I can't have half the hot dog bread.
Yeah,
So
it's
then I'm like,
tough.
all right, we got to make our own bread. Then,
Hmm.
we'll get the Dutch oven out, and then we'll make a sourdough in the Dutch oven. But other than that, nah, it's everything had a lot of things have dairy. Now, if you're a vegan lifestyle, all depending on where you live at, you'll have a lot of vegan food. All depending, and then also with dairy-free food, all depending where you live at, because it's not everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, no, I don't do vegan. Yeah, that is a very popular thing. Or the gluten free, I don't do gluten free. Yeah. As I tell
Mm.
people, I want the gluten. So
But also your gluten also gives it also gives GI issues too.
you
So
very well could be right though. You very well could be. You're probably 100% accurate about that. Yeah. So maybe I should be more paying more attention to that. I don't know. It's hard because you can relate to it. With me, I could have a meal one day and it would never irritate my GI. Or I'd have the same meal 2 weeks later and it would be a complete disaster. It's weird. You never quite know. It's very hard to tell what will trigger. For me, I had a bit of a situation where when I was an infant, I had an eating disorder and my stomach needed to be knotted up, tied up in a
mm,
specific medical procedure that was done when I was an infant. And now that I'm 34, I suspect that my procedure is starting to basically wear off and unravel, supposedly. So I just
mm.
have to be more careful about that type of thing. But yeah, this is deeply fascinating. Absolutely. I'd be shocked if you haven't been on this particular podcast. Do you know? Surely you've been on Cooking Without Looking, right?
On November 20th, I will be on Cooking Without Looking.
Renee Rentmeester. Yeah, she was on the
Yeah.
show a few years ago. She was on my show. She's great. Yeah, she has a huge personality like you, and Cooking Without Looking is providing a lot of happiness to a lot of people. Yeah, it's really, really fascinating. Yeah, definitely.
I'm looking forward to it.
So
I
what
don't
are
know
you
what
gonna
I'm gonna make
make?
yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
Well. Let's brainstorm. So what do you think you're gonna make? Well, like how is it gonna work? What do you think what do you envision yourself making
I don't
on
know.
Cooking Without Looking?
Maybe a lollipop lamb
Ooh,
or
whoa. What's that?
just your rack of lamb with breadcrumbs, Dijon mustard on the outside. Then you cut them up into the little individual bones. Some people call it lollipop because you're taking some of the excess meat and fat off the bottom of the bone just to leave the top looking like a lollipop. I don't know that, and maybe chicken supreme with a supreme sauce, something really quick, fast. Because since I'm doing the mother sauces, let people see that the bechamel sauce could turn into a supreme sauce, or velouté could turn into a supreme sauce. I don't know, or something beef, or just make the Bronx. I make this shish kebab sandwich from when we used to live in the Bronx, where my mother used to buy it right in front of on Fordham Road, in front of the kids' clothing store. So I have perfected that flavor um, without the smog. So, I might make that as well because that's very popular as well too. So, Just a couple of
What is
things.
that? And what is that particular sandwich that she would buy? Explain maybe more what it tastes like, or maybe exactly what that is. Yeah.
Okay, so it's shish kebab bathed in spicy barbecue sauce. It has lemon juice on it. It has Tabasco sauce. It has shredded lettuce, thinly sliced tomatoes. It has jalapenos in there. So and lemon juice. So it has all of those flavors. So it tastes to me, it tastes like a summer day when me and my mother used to get it. I remember going to college. I used to drive 3 hours from Rhode Island back to the Bronx just to get it on the weekend.
Huh.
So the spiciness of it, represents the hardness of the Bronx. Um, and it's just a delicious shish kebab sandwich. Delicious. I normally use sirloin, but you can use tenderloin with it. You never want to cook it well done. You want to have it medium, so still nice and juicy. The juices run down your arm and things like that. So, and then it's on a pita bread.
Mm.
You warm up the pita bread. And with me, it's funny when I'm home because I got a cast iron grill. I'll grill the bread and then I will wrap it up like they used to give it to us on Fordham Road in foil to make sure just the top is exposed with the elements looking at you. So it's they're really a down home, just a regular shish kebab sandwich.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's so good. The other one. I'm sure you can make an amazing shawarma.
Yeah, I've made a shawarma, a chicken shawarma, and put it over. What kind of? I think we had. I think that they wanted couscous, so made a nice mint and scallion couscous
Hmm.
with chicken shawarma, and it was really good.
Yeah, absolutely. No, no. For me, if I'm gonna have shawarma like wrapped up in pita and things like that, I don't need extra. With that, um, you can do it with lamb and then like all the vegetables, tahini, things like that. It's so good. So delicious.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the thing with Mediterranean cuisine is that you don't need a lot of extra sides. The flavors are so filling. Even a simple falafel salad, is incredible, Yeah,
hmm
yeah.
I remember living in Pennsylvania every Saturday at the farmers market, and
Hmm.
used to get up early just to get a falafel sandwich.
I can believe it. Falafel's incredible.
And just walk right down the block, get it in the pita with some banana peppers, lettuce,
Yum.
tomatoes, put the tahini on it,
Delish. Delish.
and some fresh parsley, and it was awesome.
It absolutely is. There's a lot of debate about where it comes from. Some think it comes from Turkey. Others think it comes from Egypt, Israel. Some people say, no, it's from Iraq. No, it's from Saudi Arabia. No, it's from Yemen. No, it's from this. Well, wherever it's from, it's delicious and it's eaten all over the Middle East and Med. And it's a delicious staple. Yeah. That
Yes,
whole
yes.
Mediterranean, I mean, you could do a whole series, man. You could do a whole unit on your podcast just about Mediterranean eating and Mediterranean cuisine and the elements and what represents stuffed grape leaves. Delish. So many
hmm
good stuff for that. Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
funny you say that. That's coming. I think sometime next year, Mediterranean.
Funny you're mentioning this because before you were blind, I got to tell you not to harp on the fact that you used to be a sighted person because if you want my opinion, I think you're doing a great job being a blind person, by the way. But when you used to be one of those weird sighted people, so you said you were an executive chef and that you've worked around the culinary circuit. So who have been some of the big names you've worked for? How many different famous chefs have you actually met and like talked to like extensively in your when you were working?
Who? I met Bobby Flay at a seminar. I met G Garvin, um, Jonathan Waxman, what is it? Alicia Silverton, I believe her name is. I met Emerald. Actually, Emerald went to the same school that I went to. Who else did I meet? I met ah, Oh my gosh. It's been a long time. Nobody
They're all
probably
amazing.
remembers
Those
me.
are all amazing people. I'm 100% sure those are incredible people. Honestly, I don't know. Honestly, I'm ignorant to who those people are, but it's not because they're not important. It's just because I'm not in that industry. But I'm sure everybody at home is like, "Oh, Aaron, don't you know?" No, not necessarily. There's a lot of names in the culinary world that we only know of the most recognizable, but there's many people in the culinary space that are doing many great things, just like podcasting or anything else. There's a lot of little things that are going on, but that's incredible. Yeah, absolutely, really cool. Yeah. So, is there any? I guess is there any like food that? Never mind the dairy as issue, but throwing out dairy, is there any food that you like are completely 100% repulsed by that you'll just never eat or make?
Um, chitlings. You know what chitlins are, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's no, never. That I'm just repulsed by. Oh my gosh, mainly that right there, because I'll try anything once.
Right. Right.
If I don't, some of the things that on Bizarre Foods I wouldn't eat, but I don't know if you've ever heard of I don't know episode of Bizarre Foods. I love Alan Zimmerman. I love him.
Yes, yes.
But he ate the most ridiculous things. Some of those things I would never eat. But some of the things that people eat on a regular basis. But for me, it'll just be chitlins. I would try anything once. And I have tried things and then I was like, nah, I'm not eating no more. Let's say chicken feet. People love chicken feet. I'm
Mm.
like, why? Ain't no meat on chicken feet. I remember back in the days, people used to put pig's feet in a jar and they used to sell it at the corner store. You're like, I wouldn't eat that now. So, just things like that.
Well, a lot of those, like I was mentioning about eating the organs and eating the parts of animals, that's something that's a lot more common in other countries. Why? Because they needed to do it. So for hundreds of years, the people got used to doing that. They got used to eating parts of the body. And they became desensitized and would think nothing of it. If they had nothing else to eat, that's what they ate. If a food is really weird or if it's a part of the body that would repulse us, it's because that at some point they realized that they needed to eat that thing.
Hmm.
That's kind of the philosophy there of why they would eat something. It's because oftentimes it's not for pleasure, it's for necessity. So that's a subtle thing too. Yeah, absolutely. Really incredible. Yeah. And so when you're not doing, all of these amazing things, um, what else do you do in your free time when you're not doing the podcast or you're not doing cooking? What are some of your other hobbies that I would never guess you do?
Um, I like going outside. I'm an outdoors person. I'm still trying to navigate around, trying to want to go hiking, you know, as a blind person.
That's super
Um,
doable. That's super easy. Yeah,
that's
super
super
doable.
easy
Super doable. Do it.
because I remember just going outside and just walking around the neighborhood, which is cool, but I want to go actually, hiking. I listen to a lot of, audiobooks. I ride my bike on the inside. I got a stationary bike. I like to work out because also before going blind, I was a power lifter and I was training for upcoming event. But, I would like to get back into the gym again and power lift. That's just some of the things. And then just listening to music. I love music. Other than that, I really don't do anything crazy. Because it's kind of like I don't know. Cooking is what I like, and I like science. The body and everything like that. So, I'm just I know I'm just those are the things that I do. I'm waiting to go for my seeing eye dog, and then I know
Wonderful. So
once
good.
I
Where are you going to get your dog from?
the seeing eye.
Oh, so good. Yeah. I had a guide dog for 13 years from Guiding Eyes for the Blind there in Yorktown Heights, New York. And guide dogs, when properly trained by reputable agencies, are incredible. They're
Hmm.
absolutely incredible. Yeah. What turned you onto the seeing eye?
The seeing eye because I was looking for a guide dog so I could do more things, be a little more independent outside. So I tried one Dogs Inc. in Florida, and they got back to me. Then once I went into the nursing home, they never really got back to me. But when I came out of the nursing home, I was looking for other guide dogs. I wanted a German Shepherd, but I couldn't find one. It's just like a 2-year wait for a German Shepherd. So this my O&M instructor told me about the Seeing Eye and others. So I just applied to the Seeing Eye. I talked to them. They seem like a great bunch of people. And next week I actually go down there so I can actually start the training with the dog. And they've been great.
Congratulations to you. I wish you
Thank
all
you.
the best with that. That's so good. That's so good. Certain schools use certain breeds. German Shepherds, although they're amazing, there were fewer German Shepherds that passed through the training to become guide dogs themselves because of the personality of a Shepherd. So that's why there's fewer Shepherds. So it's a very specific personality. Yeah. Yeah. That is really compelling. Absolutely. Super, super great. Yeah. So I'm sure you have a lot of questions about Aaron Richmond and Aaron's opinion and who I am in society. So I'm sure you can really light me up. Really ask me some questions that are really going to make me sweat. What do you really want to know about me?
Okay, so how do you navigate in your kitchen when you are in the kitchen and you want to cook? What is your like go-to pots? What do you start with first?
Mm-hmm.
And just let me know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't cook a whole lot, but when I do, I'm very organized. So I know the recipe. I get everything set up before I plan the meal before it happens. So you're very right about the organization. I would recommend, if you're a blind person, definitely you want to be using a gas stove. That's a lot safer, a lot more easy to control, surely. Yeah, you have a gas stove, right? When you do cook, right?
No, I have an electric. Electric to me is easier.
You're killing me. You're killing me. So no, it's not. No, it definitely isn't. No, it's not. This is where we can talk about it, and I will prove. I will definitely tell you that any chef will tell you you don't want electric, you want gas. I'll tell you why. With gas, I can easily. It's very tactile, right? So I have a stove in
Hmm.
our home, and it has these big knobs. And what I do is to turn on the gas to get the gas flame started. It sounds a lot, and of course, to some blind people, it would sound scary. It's not scary. You just have to do it properly, and you just have to know what's going to happen.
Hmm.
You kind of twist the knob, counterclockwise, and then you'll hear a clicking, a clicking
Hmm.
sound, click, 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 and the fuel starts pumping through, and then you get it to a point where it stops clicking, and then that means that the flame is fully there, and then you can simply just rotate the knob, counterclockwise and clockwise in coordination to what you're cooking. Let me give you a real good illustration. So when my brother and I made duck breast, now my brother's sighted. So he says,
Hmm.
okay, Aaron, he basically, because he's grossed out by, I mean, he'll eat it, but he's not as amused by it as I am. He'll say, okay, Aaron, you're going to start out and you're going to put that knob for me at 8 o'clock. Okay. That's pretty hot. About 5, 10 minutes later, he says, let's move it back to 6:30. So you move the knob slightly back, flip the breasts around, add some spices, render the fat and things like that, and stir it around. And then he says, "Oh, okay, we're almost done. We're going to pull it back to 4 o'clock." And then you pull the gas back to 4 o'clock. In other words, there's a pointer that directs the gas, obviously closer to 12, hotter, closer to clockwise or the other direction would make it cooler. It's kind of the type of thing where once you did it once, you'd fall in love with it, Rick. You'd be like, yeah, why was I using electric? What was I thinking? It's so much better and the food tastes better that way because you're manipulating and you're dominating the heat the whole way. You're not depending on electrical current to, reduce the heat slowly. I can completely shut it off. I can completely do a full flame. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's how you can do it. And then you can time yourself based on the clock, with certain levels of heat. Okay, 5 minutes. Let's pull it back to 6 o'clock for a few minutes and then let it simmer down. So it's a very good way of managing heat and managing time. Wow, that's incredible that you do electric. Wow. That's,
Well,
yeah,
with me, every place that I've been at, because I used to love fire, just like you. But then when I became blind, every place that I went had electric.
really.
And with me, yeah, everything is a clock. With me, I use bump dots on
Mm-hmm.
my knobs. So one at 12, one at 6, one at 3, and one at 9 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So when I turn the dial, I know it's high or it's low. And then with me, all depending on what I'm making, I'll put the pot on the this is the first time I've ever had like a glass electric top. Other than that, I just had the filaments where like fire, you could just turn it up and down. So I'll put the pot on top of the stove, and then I'll turn it on medium.
Mm-hmm.
I
Absolutely.
don't I don't ever cook over medium, and I let the pot heat up. So I let it heat up for about 5 minutes, and then I go prep something else, and then it's ready. Everything I cook on top of the stove is on medium. And
Mm-hmm.
then all depending on steak. I have pots that can go into the oven up to 500 degrees. So if I'm making a steak, I would sear it on the top, then turn it over, put it in the oven, and wait for the doneness because I have it like medium rare. I always have my oven on between 400 and 425. So that's about what, 6, 7 minutes for me, all depending
Mm-hmm.
on the thickness. Now, when searing duck breast, I would do the same thing. Just let because I'll let it sear, and then once it's seared, turn over, put it right in the oven. So for me, that's a little easier in how you manipulate um not having a fire
I
because
get it. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, and that's the thing with duck breast on a gas stove in a frying pan, you can do the whole experience. So I could get it from, the cutting board where I would do the seasoning all the way to the pan. You can do duck breast in a pan and that's a lot easier, but you are right. You're very right. With certain protein, it needs a little bit of a push in the oven at the end or the air fryer. Air fryers, when used appropriately, are also a tool that are incredible. And air fryers are an example of a misnomer. There's nothing about frying. It's a mini oven, is what an air
right,
fryer is. There's no fry in an air fryer. I don't know why they call it that. I guess to market it, but there's nothing about frying with an air fryer. Yeah,
right.
cool. Yeah, what else do you want to know?
How long have you been doing this, and what is some of the most controversial guests you had on here?
Oh man, trust me. You shouldn't have asked that. I'll really make you sweat. So I've been doing this since the pandemic started around 2020. And I wanted, as I said privately, I wanted to provide a space where people like you who just love to have a great talk, man. You're just a fun guy to have around, to meet for a dinner, have a beer. You're just a great guy. I
Thank
could
you,
definitely see you're so conversational. I could definitely have a beer with you, man. So I wanted
thank
to
you.
create a podcast where anybody can come up to the microphone and share the story that's important to them. And that's what's important to me is, that I'm doing this. I mean, controversial. Well, we've had episodes where we've had to talk about really sad stuff. I mean, I've had guests in the past who've talked about, drug abuse, going to prison, having kidney failure, domestic violence, gang activity. I've got you covered. And the great thing about you is that, yeah, you've had some bad stuff happen, but most of your story is happy and upbeat and fun. Talking about food is cheerful.
Hmm.
I've had people who, are from the projects, who grew up, in less than ideal neighborhoods, to put it very conservatively. And then they talk about all sorts of things, I would say keep listening to Aaron's Opinion Man, because we got an episode right around the pipe that is going to come out, and it's definitely not happy. So, most of the controversial episodes are some of the most saddening and some of the most depressing, which is fine because people need to share serious and sad stories. But it's also fun to sit back, relax, and have a meal and talk about food, because that's also very fun and very refreshing, but not repulsively depressed, not pushing the level of tolerance, which some people just can't stomach some of the sadness that we've had to unearth here at Aaron's Opinion. So you get it all. We've had it all. Absolutely. Yeah. Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm yeah. Um, okay, so what do you what? How do you look at the future of Aaron's Opinion?
I look at it as a great meal that we'll be able to keep having together and keep having great conversations, and that over time, we'll be able to look back on more and more episodes. As we say, it's help one, help a million, help one person today, help 1 million people tomorrow. It's not about the today. It's not about the yesterday, it's about the tomorrow, meaning that what's overwhelmingly obvious about anything is it's not about the present, it's about the future. When people look back on something, what's the impact, you know? You have to do things for a lot of years, you know, to build up, you know.
Right.
And I'm glad that you're connected with me on Instagram because you're starting out on Instagram, right? I've been on Instagram for years, you know. So
Mm.
one of the things that you'll see is you'll get a notification from Instagram in a few minutes. Not today, but when I set up the episode, you'll get a notification. And when you click that, then your followers will see the episode. So there's a lot of little tools that you can use to build up your product and to build up your craft. But it all takes years of doing it, years of connecting, talking to people, and enjoying it, just like a meal. You got to love doing it. It's just like being a chef. If you don't want to do it, you can't do it. And I
Right.
love doing it, so I will always do it. That's me.
Okay. Okay. All right. Now, this is going to be food related. If you can have one spice, I know everybody asks this question, to take with you. You can't use anything else, nothing else. What would it be?
I mean, I would say salt, if you consider that a spice. Um, I don't know if salt's not really a spice. Salt's a mineral, but salt is so important in seasoning and
Hmm.
preserve and the preservation of food. It's oftentimes overlooked. Salt is one of the most important. Salt arguably is one of the most important substances that has ever been mined, actually. Um, you know, so there's that. It really depends. I mean, with Indian cuisine, you know, you have all sorts of great spices, you know, from India that, you know, I wouldn't readily use, not because I don't love them, but because I don't eat Indian food all the time.
Hmm.
Or, you know, a good biryani. I'm sure you can make a great lamb biryani. That's a lot of fun. That's delicious.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a super, super good one too. Yeah. So there's a lot that there's a lot that we could do. I don't know. It's hard for me to pinpoint because the thing with the spice is what else is with it. Spice has to be paired, you know, with the thing. That's the trick. Garlic powder is incredible. Olive oil is incredible.
Hmm.
So it all depends on. It's really about if you use it in small doses, like medicine, like you said. If you use it sparingly and appropriately at the right moment, that's what builds it, man. That's what builds the meal for sure.
Okay. Now, what about your okay, what about your marry me dish? If you know you need that one dish to seal the deal before you ask a person to marry you, what would you make?
I don't know who's the girl.
I, I don't know. You gotta
Because
you gotta
every
give me a
woman's
dish.
different. Every
You
woman's
gotta
different, you know. I can't tell, you
you
know.
gotta give me a dish. Like, what is your go-to marry? What is your go-to? Yo, this is me.
Well, I probably wouldn't force a woman to eat the liver. That would probably not work. Most people are repulsed by that. I don't know. Probably, yeah, probably. Of course, I would never marry someone if they aren't a meat eater. So, you know, so probably they would have to eat like steak, or maybe like a really interesting thing from maybe like bulgogi. I keep bringing that up because my brother is actually also adopted from Korea, so I also love Korean cuisine and
Okay.
that food section and kimchi and all that. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Hard to know though, because one man's trash is another's treasure. So you never
Right.
quite know what will completely derail a meal. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
hmm
What is your okay? What is your what would you make for to meet your in-laws for the first time? What would you give them?
Then I would give them liver, you know, because you have to be able to have a serious meal, and liver and onions represents tradition. It represents authority, you know. It represents rustic nature in society. So that's probably what I would have probably. But
Well, just give them bear stew. It represents the nature. Or give them some venison. That represents nature, right?
it's a little harder to get that, you know. There are butchers around me where I live where you can buy those things, but it's less common, you know, than seafood or surf and turf meat or things like that. So yeah.
what is your take on eating things that are still alive?
It depends. If it's prepared properly, I would eat it. I would do it certainly. But it's part of the culinary society. It's part of the culinary world. Absolutely. But what's your take on it? Would you eat something that's alive?
Um, yeah, well, there was this one dish that I wanted to try, on my bucket list. I
Hmm.
believe it's in China where they ate that octopus, the small octopus that's
I know what
alive.
you're talking about. I think they also do that in Korea and Japan too. And some people are able to eat it and others not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's on my bucket list. But eating things that are alive,
Hmm.
I've had dishes where I've had to kill it at the table so they can make it. So I'm all right with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Now, what is your take on if you had like what is your take on a really good do you drink alcohol at all?
Yes.
Okay, what is your take on a really good alcoholic beverage? Like what's your go-to?
I mean, there's a lot of beers that I love. Lef is one of my favorites.
Hmm.
Which is a rich wheat-like beer. It really depends on what I'm eating. Sometimes I want a good IPA. With seafood, IPA. With good heavy meats like duck or beef or chicken or pork, definitely a heavier beer. So it also depends on the environment, the weather, the season, the everything. Yeah, definitely. What about you?
Me,
Yeah,
whiskey.
that's some
I'm
good
a,
stuff. Mm-hmm.
I'm a whiskey guy, and then it also still depends on what I'm eating as well, because I would opt for wine
Mm-hmm.
or alcoholic beverage before beer, even though beer is alcohol. But like straight vodka,
Ooh.
all depending, because there are some good vodkas out there, some
Yeah,
really
but I
good vodka.
prefer to do, yeah, but we can put it in a sauce and do a vodka pasta shrimp sauce with a vodka sauce for pasta. That's better. Yeah. Hmm.
Number one rule: whatever you cook with, you got to be able to drink.
Fair point. Fair point. I don't know. I'm not really into vodka. I mean, I love it in a sauce, but I just don't drink it. With me, it's either wine, beer, things like that.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
okay.
Yeah, definitely.
If I'm having pork, have some tequila. Tequila and pork goes great together.
Oh yeah. I've never done
Um,
it, but I can definitely picture it in my mouth. Yeah, definitely. Hmm.
so like you, it all depends. And but beer, I try to stay away from because that's excess calories and stuff like that.
It would have a lot of, but the thing with the beer, the reason why I would drink it with certain foods is that the beer coats my stomach, and then I eat less of the food, and then I eat more sparingly, and then my
Mhm.
body like slows down the metabolism. So that's kind of why beer can be good with a meal because it helps you to kind of digest. It preps your body. It kind of coats you, kind of gets you set up. Yeah.
You
Hmm.
see, I have that same philosophy. That's why I drink wine and I drink the other alcoholic beverage with dinner. I'll have one while I'm cooking and then have one with the meal. So this
Hmm.
way I would eat less and
Yeah. Yeah.
it'll
Yeah.
also help me digest.
For
So
sure. For sure.
it's really good. What about
Hmm.
wine? What type of wine do you like? Do you drink it at all?
Sure. Well, of course, there's a Korean plum wine that's incredible. I get that every Thanksgiving over the holidays. It's a plum drink, a plum wine, incredible. Typically red, although there can be some white wines that can be very delicious and cool and refreshing. So it all depends on the vineyard, and things like that. So that's what I've noticed is that it really depends on the vineyard and how they prepare the wine and how they package the bottles, and that's a whole industry for
Right.
sure. Yeah. Hmm.
But for me, I love Spanish wines. Um,
Delicious. Hmm.
I'll take a Spanish wine over Italian wine over French wine because I think it has more to me. It's more full bodied. It has more flavor because where it's coming from, it's more sun
Hmm.
kissed,
Yes.
and to me, it's really fulfilling. So that's
Absolutely.
for me that's great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Really, really, really good. Yeah. Well,
Now,
really, really fascinating. Yeah. Hmm.
what about your favorite cut of steak?
Favorite cut? I don't know. I mean, I would say it really depends, flank. It depends on what we're going to do with it. That's the thing. Flank can be good. So I have some experience with that. Anytime I go out, though, what I prefer is actually le tartare de bœuf. Is in other words, beef tartare, which is the raw meat, which is
Hmm.
super good. But only once in a while and only prepared well. So yeah, that's kind of the trick there.
Okay. Okay. Well, with me, it has to be me. It has to be what is it? Not flank steak. What is? I forget what it's. And it'll come to me. But New York strip.
Hmm.
Love New York strip. And what is that? Of course, tenderloin.
Hmm.
And then like you, it all depended on what I'm gonna get ready to put it in.
Hmm.
If I'm gonna make shish kebab sirloin, if I'm gonna make a standalone steak, it'll be a tenderloin. Um, so it all depends on what meal I'm gonna make.
Hmm. Right. Absolutely. And what I'm going to drink and the weather and certain things like that. There's weather and the environment is a huge factor. Yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
Oh, it's the flat
Yeah.
iron
Yeah.
steak.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I love that. That's my number one go-to steak,
Hmm.
flat
Absolutely.
iron, because it eats like a tenderloin,
Hmm.
but it's not. You could put it on a sandwich, that's how I make my steak sandwiches: ciabatta bread,
Hmm.
roasted red pepper, a whole
Delish.
one on the side, some sautéed onions, some black pepper aioli, and some banana peppers right on there over the steak. That's seasoned with Cajun seasoning, and up to what, medium,
Hmm.
and then you could just it melts right in your mouth on a sandwich.
Delish. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. I'm sure you make an absolutely vicious Philly cheesesteak, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I get I make it with, what is it? Not ribeye. Yeah, it's with ribeye,
Hmm.
sliced very, very, very thin, and which all that fat and richness makes Philly cheesesteak really, really delicious on like a nice French crusty bread,
Hmm.
with mushrooms, peppers,
Hmm.
onions,
Hmm.
banana peppers, a little bit of mayonnaise, some little bit of chipotle mayonnaise,
Yep.
and it's really, really, really delicious. How it drips. If my sandwiches don't drip down your hand, it's not. It's not a Chef Riq sandwich. I
Right.
want one of those like in where the grease goes through the paper bag. That's how I like
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Really good.
See, I could talk about food all day. Um, and so with you, how how has your experiences? This is a you going out, like when you going out to restaurants. How were your experiences out there?
I mean, it all depends. I've had a variety of experiences in restaurants. I mean, what do you, specifically speaking, what do you mean?
Like, do you find that some of the people are intentionally rude, or do you
I mean,
find the people they try to help?
I think it really depends on the restaurant. I mean, on air, I'm a little bit more private about where I live, but off air, I can tell you a lot more. I would say in my
Right.
community, though, I'm giving you a hint. There's a lot of old people. So where I live, it's a much older crowd generally, although there's young people everywhere, but it's an older crowd.
Hmm.
So the staff at the restaurants is a little bit calmer and a little bit more willing to be understanding and helpful. That's at least what I'm noticing. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
'Cause I know I have when I first became blind, the experiences was just awful.
It was totally different for you. Sure.
It was just awful. People would still be like, "Oh, they'll point. I'll let them know that I'm, visually impaired,"
Hmm.
and then they'll just say, "Oh, so you don't want nothing to eat?" I'm like, "What does that have to do with me
What?
being visually impaired?" Now, what about going to like Walmart and stuff? How was your experiences at those stores?
I mean, I think, like I'm saying, I think it really varies. I've noticed that the customer behavior in the stores has degraded over the years.
Hmm.
I've blind or not, I've really noticed that people's social skills have really downgraded over the years. I think people forgot how to interact. So, there's always every once in a while I have a questionable interaction, but that can happen anywhere. There's
Right.
always there's always odd people and always oddities. For sure. Yeah.
Mhm. Now, do you ever feel like when you out there that you feel like the unicorn? Like nobody never seen a blind person?
Yes and no. I mean, I totally get that analogy. Yes, but in other ways, no, because it also seems like people are so oblivious and people are so in their own little world that they almost can't relate to anything else. Some people are just totally in their own world. You know,
Okay.
that's what I've noticed. Yeah, consistently.
Okay. Now, if how would you feel if you got vision? You just woke up one day
So
and
let me explain a little bit more. So I totally get the question. So look, I do have usable vision. So I have
Mhm,
glaucoma, but my vision was corrected a little bit, but not
mhm,
enough so I can be sighted, but I'm still blind. Like I can't read a print book and I can't read a car or I can't
mhm.
drive a car, right? And there's a lot of things I can't do, sadly. But you know, the intellectual answer is that we're all on this journey of life and it's up to us to figure out the why, you know.
Mhm.
So it wouldn't really work. Oftentimes it's been debated around the community. Well, what would happen if, like what would happen if they got their vision back? Well, the answer is I don't know, because the answer is if we got our vision back, then we would lose our identity. It actually wouldn't work. It sounds kind of hard to relate, but it wouldn't really work if blind people became sighted. It wouldn't really work again, is what I'm saying. It would be because we would have to relearn. And once you're an adult, you can't really do that. So it would be too hard, is at least what I think as a controversial thing. Yeah.
Okay. Because a lot of people ask me that because my eyesight is not, from a genetic disease or anything like that. It's just from straight chemical reaction.
Sure.
And so a lot of people ask me, what would you do if you just woke up one day and your vision came back? I said, I don't know. Like you said, because now learning how to live without it and then all of a sudden have to relearn everything that I just learned. Things will be different.
It wouldn't work. You wouldn't,
Yeah, it wouldn't work 'cause I
you
know
would
everything will
think
be too bright and it'll be too much information
You would
all at
think that
once.
you would be able to redo being sighted, but your brain won't be able to redo. At least I don't think. For you, it might be easier, but for you, it might be harder. Where for me, I was never. It's impossible to know what would actually happen. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That was a that was a good answer. Now, if you could do how active are you outside the house? Do you do a lot of
V-
activities?
Very. I'm a pretty active guy. I exercise every day. I walk my dog 3 times a day. I'm in community organizations in my Lions Club. I get out there. I'm active.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now, because I was going to say, what's one activity that you would like to do that you haven't done?
I don't know. I always like to think that I would do extreme stuff like scuba diving or skydiving or like crazy adventurous things like that I probably never will do. I don't know. I really enjoy being in nature like you do, walking, hiking, things like that. That's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about going to the beach and stuff like that, going swimming and stuff?
That's super fun too. I do that too. That's really good for the heart and soul. A good swim.
Okay, okay. Because now, how would scuba diving go? If because you got to be able to see underwater, and then it's just you, right? Or are you tethered to somebody?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of blind people doing that. I'm not entirely sure how it does work, but I don't know who they are, but I know that there are blind people who've done that type of thing. Yeah, definitely. So I don't know. It would just sound like fun. I also love snorkeling too. I did that in Hawaii, and I got to see a turtle swim by me, so that's really exciting. The ocean is really comforting and really exciting and really fun. Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely. Hmm.
okay. Um,
I tell you what, let's do one more grand question to wrap it up today. How about that?
okay, one more grand question. To
Yeah.
wrap it up. Well, I don't think I have any more questions, but I wanted to say, thank you for having me on here.
You're always welcome on Aaron's Opinion. Thanks for cooking. Thanks for joining me for the meal today. Absolutely. If someone wants to get in touch with Chef Riq, how can you be reached, man?
All right. You can hit me up on my email, unseencuisine50@gmail.com. You can send a text on Facebook um, at Chef Riq Unseen Cuisine. You can find me on Instagram at unseen_cuisine, or you can just send a text to one of your favorite episodes on any of your podcasts, wherever you listen. And also you can hit me up on YouTube at Chef Riq Unseen Cuisine. So there's multiple ways that you can get in contact with me, and I'm one of those people who do answer back, because
Very
there's
good.
some people that you
I'll build out the
private.
description to make sure we include all those links. I got to find that YouTube. If you can send me your YouTube channel, I couldn't find it. So if you can send it to me, that would be good. Chef
Okay.
Riq, absolute honor to have you on this show. We'll definitely keep in touch, and I'll definitely give you some recipe ideas and definitely inspire you even further. So
All
absolutely,
right.
man, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. Whatever day of the week it is, I have a hard time. Whatever. If it's a Saturday, I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your Saturday. And of course, everybody, have a great day out there in the podcast world. And until next time, keep cooking, be well, everybody. And of course, help one person today, help 1 million people tomorrow.